Not? Okay. I think so.
You're like 3 months
All right.
behind.
This is a quick chapter 4 review.
Guys, give
This is government intervention. This is government intervention. And there's like 3 kinds of intervention: taxes, subsidies, and price controls. So for the most part, the way that they control it is through indirect taxes, which is imposed on the spending of actual goods and services, whereas direct taxes are on things or not on the goods themselves. A specific tax are fixed amounts of tax per unit. So if you buy, so basically if you bought 100 jelly beans, there would be a specific amount for each jelly bean. Whereas if it's an ad valorem taxes, it's a fixed percentage. So obviously, if you have a higher price on a jelly bean, then it will be a greater price for those jelly beans than the lower priced jelly beans. So this is just like for the various people who are participating in it. The consumers have to pay more, obviously because of the tax. Producers are producing less and selling it for more. Government gets revenue, and they're the only one who benefits in the whole scheme of taxes. And workers don't get paid as much because they have to produce less. This is illustrated through the graph down here, where the supply shifts to the left, and as you can see, Q has to move to Q1, which is a lower amount, obviously, and the price goes up. So yes, technically, the producers are producing, or actually, sorry, the price does go. My bad. The price goes up, but they are producing less, and in the end of it, they end up making a lot less money. And then subsidies. Subsidies are they are payment basically given by a government to a company to produce a good or service. And subsidies are most ridiculous due to the fact that they cause an inefficient allocation of resources, because it basically artificially creates a demand where it lowers the price, so more people demand it. As you can see on the supply and demand graph over there, because of the way that you shift it to the right, more people are going to demand it for that lower price. But realistically, people don't actually need that, and for stuff like corn, it's just a waste of money, and the government ends up spending tax money that they don't need to. And so the consumers need to pay lower prices, which is good for them, and the producers get higher prices, or get more money because they end up getting that money back through the government paying them for the excess that they make, and they get to sell more goods. The government loses revenue, and technically for society, it's a loss because the government uses the revenue that they get from taxes, so that they are just using people's taxes to pay for these subsidies. And then workers produce more and are more likely to be hired because companies will be getting paid more and will expand what they are doing. And the last one is price control. So there are 2 kinds of price controls. There are price ceilings and price floors. Price ceiling is a maximum price that creates a shortage. And it creates a shortage because if you look at the supply and demand graph, if you set a price below the equilibrium, you're going to create, the demand is going to be greater than the supply, and so there's going to be shortage of supply and excess of demand. And consumers pay less, but not as many people can get the good, and producers produce less for a lower price, and government gets less revenue because obviously they're not getting the taxes from those goods. And a price floor, which is a minimum price, which creates a surplus because the price is set above equilibrium, meaning that there's excess of supply and a shortage of demand. So basically, suppliers are just left with extra. And consumers buy less but pay more. Producers produce more and get paid more. Government buys excess goods and loses money because obviously they don't get as much tax, And then a minimum wage was included in this chapter, and it is basically a price floor on wages. It basically sets, like, rather than wages finding an equilibrium, it's basically set above what it would normally be. So obviously people would pay. It's like the biggest criticism of the minimum wage is it creates a false equilibrium basically for labor. And that's the biggest, like I said, the biggest criticism for all of government intervention is that it really creates an inefficient market, and it's a very inefficient way to allocate resources. So for the most part, people argue that it would be better if the market was just left to its own rather than having these interventions. Except for stuff like some of the taxes which can be used to dissuade people from doing stuff. Like there's a really high tax on cigarettes to try and stop people from using cigarettes. Yeah, so that's basically it. That was chapter 4 in a nutshell.
You're gonna get about just halfway.
Good summary, Jonah.
Yeah.
Well, is there any way to cite that, bro?
Can someone stop the video?
Drug use is